Hi, this is James with BecauseYouWantedToKnow.com, and today we are going to be doing a quick review on the Blu Studio 6.0 LTE. This is kind of a review that I had promised a whole bunch of people who had seen my review on the Blu Studio HD 6.0. I thought this was really going to be a quick review as far as just saying, hey, watch the HD video, add LTE to it, and there you go. But that has not turned out to be the case. This is actually a much different phone, in some good ways and some ways that I'm really not too happy about. But we will get into that. First of all, let me give you the specifics on what is considered Blu's flagship phone. Let's see here. We have a 6.0 display. Okay, so it is a 6-inch screen. It has a Snapdragon 400 processor, quad core, 1.6 gigahertz. Okay, now the resolution of the screen is one of the things that I'm kind of excited about. It's 1920 by 1080, so 1920 by 1080, which is an absolutely phenomenal resolution for a phone. I mean, it's full 1080p video, which is great, and the screen actually looks wonderful. I mean, it's like liquid. So very happy about that. 13 megapixel camera on the back, 5 megapixel front-facing camera on the front, 2 gigs of RAM. I already mentioned it is 4G LTE. It does take a micro SD memory card. Now, I've heard actually two things. One is that it takes up to a 64 gig card, but the actual box here says it takes up to a 32 gig card. Doing a little bit of research, I did find out that actually both are correct. It really depends on how you format the card. In most people's case, and I mean the vast majority, it's going to be a 32 gig card. If you do want to expand up to 64 gigs, send me a quick message and I will send you directions on exactly how to do that, to expand it to 64 gigs. I have not tried it, but I have heard many people kind of tell me that that's the, how it's done and everything else like that. But I don't want to get too much into it. And it does also come with KitKat, Android operating system 4.4. Now, the HD also came with KitKat operating system 4.4, but the update to Lollipop came through for that particular phone, and it has not yet come through for this phone, which is kind of interesting because this is considered Blu's flagship phone. And usually with any other company, say Samsung for instance, your flagship phones would get the update first, and then all of the phones that came after it would get it after that. But for some reason, this is not the case with Blu. I tend to believe that there was a few, I don't want to say flaws, but a few little knick-knack things with their Lollipop that, maybe they kind of just put the stop on it as far as releasing it for this phone. But I keep hearing it's going to be coming out very, very, very soon. So, let's go into some things like this. First of all, just like the HD, very, very, very thin. Very thin, feels very nice in the hand. Screen-wise, extremely bright screen. That is one of the first things that jumped out in the HD and in this phone also, that as soon as you turn it on, the screen just jumps out at you. It's very, very, very bright. It's also very, very, very sensitive also as far as the touch. It does take some getting used to. Again, I said the same thing about the HD phone, but I think this one is even more. It's very, very, very sensitive as far as touch, and it does seem to be a little bit more accurate. Okay? If we open it up, one thing I don't like about it is I think this back cover seems a little bit flimsy to me. I mean, it is what it is. It is a back cover, but it does seem very, very, very plastic. Now, the nice thing about Blu, and they do this with all of their phones, is they give you in the box, they give you a screen protector that goes on the front here, and they also give you a little gel case. Again, these things probably cost $1, Screen protector probably cost Blu 50 cents. But the fact that they give it to you, I think it's great. Samsung doesn't give it to you. Apple doesn't give it to you. The fact that Blu gives it to you, while it's, probably not a whole lot of cost to them, it just kind of says, hey, you buy the phone, when you get it there, you're going to have a gel case, you're going to have a screen protector, and here you go. I think that kind of makes some points with me. So let me give you an idea on the back. You have a 3200 battery, which is big, and it's a removable battery, which on the HD, it's not. It's not a removable battery. So this is a removable battery. You do have two SD cards that are in here. I've really become a fan of the dual SIM phones. I've never had one before the HD, and since I've had one, I've just kind of taken a liking to it. Again, I don't understand why maybe Samsung and Apple and some other companies don't really come out with phones like this, because it really does make it really nice, especially if you have a situation to where maybe you have a business phone number, and maybe you have a personal phone number, or just whatever the case may be. And then we have a micro SD card, which goes right there. So 2 SIMs and a micro SD, and here's the battery. Once everything is put together, again, while I wasn't too happy about the back cover, once everything is put together, and especially once you put the gel case on it, it really does, kind of fit together really well. Feels very, very, very sturdy in the hand. All right. So let me go over some things that are, I'm going to say, negatives, because for some reason with Blu, I like to cover the negatives first, because again, there's just not many of them. One thing is, on the HD, the way that it handled the dual SIMs, and as far as switching back and forth between which phone numbers you use, it really worked out really good, and it worked out good in the KitKat version and the Lollipop version. This phone, it seems like it's a different software. Matter of fact, it doesn't seem like it. It is. It's literally a different way in which they handle which SIM you're using to make a phone call going out. That has created a problem for me, because I use Google Voice. And so since I use Google Voice, I've had a problem with this particular phone using Google Voice with the 2 SIMs. In order to get Google Voice to make phone calls going out, I've had to turn off one of the SIMs. So, I've kind of fooled around with it for about a week, seeing if I can get kind of a workaround about it. I've looked on the internet, everything else like that, and I haven't really found a way that I can turn on both SIMs and make outgoing calls with Google Voice. On the HD, I could do that. When I turned off one of the SIMs, so if you were just using a single SIM in Google Voice, no problem. It works perfectly, terrific. If you all of a sudden you were using Google Voice and you wanted to use the 2 SIMs, that's where I ran into some problems. Incoming phone calls were no problem, but just making outgoing phone calls, it was a glitch in the software, and it would just almost put me in like an endless loop where I actually could not make an outgoing phone call with Google Voice. So that is something I was not happy with. 2, I really liked Lollipop. When the upgrade for the HD came through, I fooled around with it. I was like, wow, I really do like the way that Lollipop kind of handles things. And I think because of the increased speed and memory on this phone, it would even be a more enjoyable experience. Anyone who's ever used Lollipop, you kind of realize that it's very easy to all of a sudden have 50 windows kind of waiting, because everything that you do is a separate window. You open up your email, there's a window. You open up, let's say you open up Gmail, that's a window. And then you open up a specific email, that's a window. And then you do a reply, that's a different window. So just, opening up and replying to an email, you have 3 separate windows that are open. Those of you who have used Lollipop, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Well, all of a sudden, over a period of, say, 2 hours, 3 hours, and you're checking your email, you're checking your bank account, you've sent a couple of instant messages somewhere, whatever the case may be, you've made a couple phone calls, all of a sudden, before you know it, you have all these windows stacked up, running in the background. On the HD, because of the memory limitations, that would tend to bog down the phone. So I kind of found myself constantly closing closing out windows that I no longer needed. I think with the increased memory of this phone and the increased speed of this phone, I don't think I would have that problem. So I am kind of disappointed that the Lollipop update has not came through yet. And I'm checking pretty much every day, but no, it has not came through yet. And so unless you want to root the phone and use some type of a custom ROM, you just have to just kind of wait. But that being said, extremely fast. I kind of read some things, when people are doing different reviews, whether it be a video or whether it be reading a review online or something like that, I've heard some people actually say that this phone was sluggish. And honestly, I really don't see it. Every interaction I've had with the phone has been kind of extremely quick. I mean, let's give you an example. Let's still put up Facebook. Boom, Facebook, open. There you go. So, while I guess maybe it could be faster, it would be seconds faster. I mean, it's not like you're sitting here waiting for Facebook to open up. You're sitting here waiting for Twitter to open up, or waiting for your email to open up. As soon as you do it, boom, within a second or two, it's open. And then as far as the screens, I just have not seen any situation where the phone is lagging. And I kind of load my phones up with lots of different apps. If you look at all the apps, load my phone up with lots of different apps. I'm listening to the radio, I'm listening to Pandora, I'm sending emails, I'm talking on it, I'm making videos, I'm shooting different videos and things like that. So I try to put the phones through a good deal and even try to stress them in order to see what exactly the limits are. And so far, I've been very, 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 very happy with this particular one and the speed. So I don't know what lagging, as far as some other people have said about the speed of the phone. I haven't seen it at all. I can say compared to the HD, it's much faster than the HD. And I think that probably has to do with the fact that it does have twice as much memory. One of the things that I did not mention, this particular phone has 16 gigs of storage as opposed to 8 gigs, which is also very, very, very nice. So that is great. Those are, so I kind of went into some good things and some bad things. I think the good things really about the phone, I wish the update was through. I wish that it did handle my Google Voice and the dual SIM better. That being said, as with Blu products, I'm very impressed with the speed of the phone, the quality of the screen, and the price. This phone goes for about, if you look on eBay, I'm thinking about the average price on eBay is about $202. I think if you were to purchase it at maybe like a Walmart, and I haven't seen it in the store, but I have seen on their website where you can purchase it. I believe on their website the price is about $224, I believe, somewhere in the 220s. But on eBay you can get it for around $202. So let's just say $205. For $205, you end up having, a phone that maybe a year ago had all the top of the line specs. I mean, a screen that is 1980 by 1080, last year that was top. That was it. Right now you have some phones, the LG that are at 2552, 2552 by 1300 or something like that. Just outrageous. So that's where the new top of the line is right now. But if you were to buy this phone, if you could go back in time a year ago, you pretty much have all of the top of the line specifications. 13 megapixel phone. A year ago, that was top of the line. That was where your notes and your iPhones and things like that were. So it has. I realized in the past year, megapixels has kind of creeped up a little bit. A 5 megapixel front-facing camera, still about a year ago, that was the top of the line. So as with all Blu products, I'm just very, very, very impressed with the price. The fact that this phone is a little bit over $200, unlocked, no contract, you just buy it and put in your SIM and you're talking. The fact that this phone is $200 and the fact that maybe a Note bought under the same circumstances with no contract is $700. The fact that an iPhone is $600 or $700 depending on which version you buy. The fact that an LG, again, is $500, $600, $700 depending on which version you buy. The fact that those phones are so much more expensive than this phone really causes a little bit of doubt in my mind about the value of those other phones. Because I think almost here, what it's telling me is this. It's telling me that the cost that LG and Samsung are charging their customers for the phone almost has nothing to do with the manufacturing price of the phone. It has more to do with what are our customers willing to pay for this particular item. I think Blu, the cost of their phones are, the price that they charge us for their phones has something to do with the cost of manufacturing. It's not as if they're using cheaper processors. Are they using last year's top-of-the-line processor instead of this year's top-of-the-line processor? Yes. Is that cheaper? Yes. But I don't think it's $200 compared to $600 less. So that is pretty much it about this particular phone. I am impressed with it. I've used it for about a week. Again, I wish it was Lollipop. Again, I wish it did handle both SIMs better with the Google Voice. But if those are not an issue for you, I would definitely recommend this phone. If you're using Google Voice and you're willing to use it with a single SIM, definitely, I cannot say definitely enough, would recommend it to you. If you are using it with if you want to use a double SIM and your Google Voice, again, you're going to run into problems just like I did. So that is pretty much it. If you have any questions about it, please send me a message. I always try to get back to everyone, as soon as possible. If you're interested in the HD version, not the LTE version, I also have a video on that also. Again, that one is about 2.5 months old. But so that's pretty much it. Thank you for tuning in. Hey, please give me a like. It's down there. And please subscribe. And if there are any updates as far as like a Lollipop update or anything else like that, if anything really major comes about as far as negative or positive on the phone, I will definitely make kind of a video to go after it to kind of tell you about that. And that is it. Thank you very much for tuning in. Bye-bye.